Hi, guys. Welcome back to another episode of In the Quiet podcast where silent cups are filled. And today in the podcast, I'm having a guest, a very special guest. She has been here before, but not on a video, on an audio. And it's such a pleasure to have her on the video. She's Anita Karembo. Anita Karembo is a clinical psychologist and a mental health advocate. She is the founder of Ember and Bloom and very passionate about creating systems that help people heal, thrive, and lead. Her background blends in psychology and diplomacy because she believes in real impact that happens both on one healing and policy making. So I'm excited to have her today on the studio, and I can't wait for how our conversations are going to go. Anita, welcome.
Thank you.
You're finally here.
It's been a hot minute.
I
But yeah,
know.
I'm
Happy New
here.
Year.
Happy New Year.
How was your week?
Very exhausting.
Mm.
But all in all, we're very grateful. It's good to actually have those weeks that you're exhausted. At least it means you're doing something.
I know.
Yeah.
Means your life is having things to do. I saw a quote. I don't know if it's on Instagram or TikTok that said, it's like they were thanking God that their day was busy. That thank you God that I had a busy day. Thank you God that I'm tired today because
Mhm.
of work, because of what I've been involved in. So I do agree with you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, today we are going to talk about a very interesting topic. We're starting a series on family dynamics. I know you are particularly passionate about family dynamics, and I know with your expertise, you have a lot that you're bringing to the table on discussions regarding family dynamics. And I'd want us to go right through into it. And yeah, what do you understand by family dynamics? Like, tell us, let our listeners know when we say family dynamics, what it is from a clinical psychological perspective.
Okay. So when we are speaking about family dynamics, the best way I'll put it is, it's the unit that we all come from. And
Mm,
it's the unit that shapes us to be who we are,
mm,
whether we like it or not, or whether we are aware of it or not.
mm,
The type of dynamic you come from has shaped the type of individual you are today.
true.
It can shape you in regards you picking these patterns and continuing with them. That's
Mm,
one way of shaping. Or it can shape you by you understanding that, you know what, these are the patterns and I don't want to continue with them. So now you decide to embark on a journey of picking new patterns. So by
mm,
virtue of this family unit, it shaped you. Maybe not to follow the patterns, but to become something different. So it's
yeah,
something that we can't run away from it. We just
true.
can never run away from family dynamics.
Because we all come from families. We have
Yeah.
somewhere that we're originating from.
And I think the word dynamic is what you're wondering. What is the dynamic? The
Mm-hmm.
dynamic is like the different setting, the
Mm,
different setting within your family, that
mm,
that is what makes you unique, makes your experiences yours and yours alone. Because
mm,
like somebody who comes from a big family and there's someone who comes from a very small family, there's someone
mm,
who comes from a blended family, there's
mm,
someone who comes from two household where it's functional, someone also comes from a dysfunctional home.
mm.
Those are the dynamics that we face.
That's very interesting. So I now that would make me want to ask a question of if family dynamics are shaping us. What do you think shapes us most? Cultural, parenting styles, or in the family dynamics? What do you think shapes us
Well,
most?
when we say family dynamics and when you ask what shapes us more, here you've brought the aspect of culture and parenting.
Like
I,
trauma,
I will.
personalities.
Okay, now you're bringing in too much. Let
Mm.
me start from somewhere. So, when you say culture and parenting, I will say these two are kind of blended. It's like a 50-50. The way you
Mm.
parent is influenced by your culture.
Mm. And your culture is influenced by the way you parent.
Are you okay? Can you okay?
Can I let you land?
Can you please?
Yes,
So
go
when
on
we talk
ahead.
about these two, they're married because most of the time it's culture first, because of the culture you come from will determine how you're going to parent.
True.
And now we can't really say this one is bigger than the other, because you
Mhm.
see, they're married twins.
So you wouldn't say
One
there
is
is,
more,
yeah.
because there are people who are adamant to the culture and they will parent specifically that way, and there are some who say, you know what, times have changed, so I think this and this should not go on like this, like the gender roles now. There maybe in a certain culture, boys should be doing this, girls should be doing this, but you find that as we have evolved and time has passed,
Mm,
people no longer really hold on to these rules and allow people, boys and girls to do whatever they can do.
mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting that you've talked about our culture. There is a, I want to know if you think there are some unhealthy patterns that are normalized within our families, especially as as African families, that you think are unhealthy and they are still normalized and being pushed on into next generations.
Definitely, and a lot of them. And then we start
Mm,
saying, that's how we are. That's where we
mm,
come from. That's how my
mm.
family is. We have normalized so many things because we don't want to speak up, or like when you speak up you're shunned, or like it's just a lot of work, so we decide to say, what, that's who we are.
I
You know
know.
what, our tribe, we're the angry people. You know
Mm,
what, our family, we don't even do this, and we are failing to recognize that this is a pattern. And if you
mm.
recognize it, you become the black sheep. So you have to pick, are you going to be the golden child? Are you going to be the scapegoat? Are you going to be the black
We are going
sheep?
to get there.
There's so many things.
Mm.
So I feel like there's so many things that have been normalized, which are very wrong, and that's how we pass generational trauma.
Examples of those things. So, like
Well,
someone who's listening can know and be like, oh, this is an unhealthy pattern that is being passed on, and that I'm most likely going to pass on to the next generation that is going to come from me, or that has come from me, that
mm-hmm.
I may not even know that is unhealthy. You could give us examples.
The first thing that pops in my head is silence equals peace.
Yeah, yeah.
So, like, if I don't speak up, no one is going to have a problem with me. Like, you know what? I'd rather be quiet so that we can have peace at home. And sometimes you ought to speak up. But because you are
Mm.
taught when you're quiet, everything is okay, then we decide to keep quiet.
And when you speak, you are shunned against
And you're
because
being disrespectful. Oh my God, you're so young. What can you tell me? And I'm 60 and you're 30.
yeah. And why is she speaking when adults are talking? Why can't she keep quiet?
Yeah, so that it's
Yeah,
sad. We're laughing, but it's not really a good thing.
it's the reality.
However, I tend to believe that with this new generation and the ones that are yet to come, it's going to change.
Mhm.
Because now we have people speaking up,
Speaking up
there's
to up to these things or
things
speaking up
to
to other
these
things.
things and other things.
Mm.
There's so many things. But the fact that there are these conversations happening, it means like collectively we are healing.
Yeah, there is a step that we are making
Yeah.
towards having healthy dynamics and passing on healthy patterns.
Yeah.
And I would like to know, it's a curious question, if you think there is a version of a healthy family from the outside that you would say a healthy version of a family versus an unhealthy version.
Using
But
the example we give, I believe that one key thing that you can note, or you can see that the family is becoming healthy or like better, is when there is room for communication and expression of emotions rather
mm,
than suppression of all these emotions. That is such a good thing, when you're allowed to express yourself, without feeling like you're doing the wrong thing. So those
mm,
are the baby steps. You can say, here, I was hurt. You did something that made me feel bad. And then you are not punished for speaking up. I can
mm,
say that is one key thing where, there's open communication. It goes a long way.
mm. Do you think a family can appear safe from outside but still be an emotionally safe? And how does that happen?
Very. I mean, we all know how to act when the cameras are on.
Tell us more.
I tend to believe that everyone shows us the best.
Mm,
When you're cleaning your cup, I will look at a family and say, like, what we see is the outside appearance. You know, you can never, unless you are very intentional, you can't get into the cup and get to see, oh, this is how it looks like. Because on the internet, everyone is showing us their billboard,
True.
and no one shows you their,
Performative.
yes, no one is showing you how they had to struggle to make this picture so beautiful, but they're showing you, hey guys, look at this, it's so cute, you know. But inside, maybe they're really suffering. And it's because you're being told when you're out, don't say anything about your home. Ensure you keep it. Kidum says, I've forgotten the line, but like this a line that Kidum says, like outside you should not be looking perfect, yet inside we keep on quarreling and fighting. You know. So I feel like we are very good at showing we are okay. And that's also the reason I will deviate a little bit. That's why that's a major reason why people struggle with mental health and get to a point of committing suicide, yet we used to think their life is perfect because what we have been raised up knowing that you should not speak, you should not show you're weak, you should not say you're struggling, you should just always look, keep together, put together, lovely. And that's such a huge problem.
It is a huge problem, but also we have to be realistic um, about the progress. As you're saying, we're having these conversations to ease the situations and to work on the topic. But is it as easy as we make it seem the way we want it to communicate these struggles or these challenges that we are having? Are we even aware or are we skilled on how to communicate?
Before I even go there, one thing I'll say, I'm not saying you air all your dirty linen outside. No, I'm not saying you show us all your struggles. No, because at the end of the day, my mom has always told me, don't be a woye pity person. You know, sometimes when you share your struggles, people can just come to say, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Then they say, oh my God, I don't want to become like her. Like you become, and you're just trying to express yourself. So you ought to know that I can share this and not share this. You just have to know what and how much are you willing to put out there.
Yeah.
So what I can encourage is for you to find a community that you can have or you build that you can be able to share these struggles with. And I can go further and say it's very important to see a professional, somebody who is skilled at these things. See a psychologist, a therapist. If it's really bad, also go to see a. Okay, I'm sorry for saying it's really bad, but like if you need more interventions, go see a psychiatrist who can there are so many people who can work with you,
Yeah.
and those are the people whereby you can give it to them as it is. You don't need to hide. And now that brings in the answer to your question of are we skilled? By seeing somebody who is skilled, like a psychologist or a therapist, you're able to be equipped on how to handle these conversations. Because most of the time, we think that for example, if it's speaking to our parents, we can go and just say, oh, you wronged me, you did this and this and this, and you think they're going to understand. Remember, you are coming from different ages. Like there's a way they view life and there's a way you view life. There's a way you communicate that indicates your heart, and there's a way they communicate that indicates their heart, or like they now understand your heart. So it's for you to know that what language do these people understand, and not force your language on them.
True. Now
Because now
that's why I
that
wanted you
brings
to
a
go.
lot of problems.
Yes.
You know.
Because our parents are speaking from the perspective of authority
Mm-hmm.
and your guardians. And you're speaking from a child. That angle is not going to be the same. You will never be on the same level. It's like how you see an employer and an employee, regardless of how comfortable of how a healthy relationship could be. There is always going to be that boundary. And the communication that I want us to talk about is not social media communication or community communication necessarily. I want us to be specific to family. How do we communicate to our family members? How do we communicate to our siblings? How do we communicate these hard how do we have these hard conversations, because they are hard conversations. It's very hard to reach out to your dad or mom and tell them, you know what, I didn't like the way you did abcd, it really hurt me, and blah, blah, blah. How do you reach that stage? How do you reach that state? Because coming from a culture or a community where expression has not been there, has not been empowered or supported, you're not just going to happen. It's not just going to happen. And as you said, you can go to psychologists and have this psychoeducation, have this encouragement. But I want you to tell us like the basics. How can you reach that?
What I'll say is you're the only one who knows your parent.
Mm.
And I usually say that if you know you're going to address this topic and it's going to bring more problems, there's no need of doing it, honestly. As much
Mm.
as you'll want to have this type of conversations, there are parents you'll want to talk to and tell them, here, I felt like you hurt me. But that will be the basis or like the genesis of you being even abandoned
Disowned.
and disowned, you know. So the way you know your parents, ask yourself, if I go ahead and have this conversation, not only parents, even your siblings, is it going to make things worse? If it's going to make things worse, please don't have it.
But then how about the part of you letting
I
out
know,
at
I
you?
know you want to let it out. You always have to weigh the pros and cons. If the cons are more, like, babes, please, just don't bring yourself more problems. Now, how are you going to let that out? How you're going to let that out by speaking to your psychologist, your therapist. The other thing is you can write the letter and not necessarily send it to them and then burn it, because you can write it, leave it in your at home in your journal. They can open it, read it, and now you're in more trouble.
Chaos, fire.
You have to learn to safeguard your heart. And if you know you're going to use this path and it's going to cause you chaos, avoid it and use this other path. The other thing I'll say, most of the time when we want to have these conversations, we make the mistake of wanting to have it when everyone is up here. I normally say the best time to have this conversation, ensure your parents are laughing, your mom is happy, your dad is happy, your sister is happy, and tell them, hey, you remember, by the way, this and this happened, and I kind of felt bad.
Mood killer.
Y- ensure that you are approaching them when they're really in a good mood. Because when you go in a bad mood, you're not even going to like it. It's going to get worse. So that is one thing that I normally say. Then also learn their language. Learn if this is how they understand they did something wrong, because we are too quick to want to tell people they did something wrong and also fail to realize that they have tried the best they can with what they knew. And also look at how they try to apologize. I'm not saying that it's not
African
good.
parents and apologizing.
Yes, it's most, you see, that is the thing that I want us not to have, to be so
Mm-hmm.
tough on them. They're still kids, they're still humans. It's their first time living. We can't expect them to be 100%. The thing is, they do apologize, but not maybe in the ways we want to be apologized to. you know for example, your mom might be knowing that she did something wrong, she really hurt you, so she knows you like milkshake, or she knows Anita loves chicken. So what am I going to do today? Today I'm going to cook chicken. Then I'll say, Anita, food is ready. Or mom, kuja, there's food. And to her, she's really trying to say, you know what, I am
And that our
sorry.
audience says that is unhealthy.
It
Unhealthy
is.
patterns.
I'm not saying it's healthy, but I'm
Yeah.
saying try to understand how they do it. Then in this moment, they're actually very relaxed, because to them they're saying sorry. Then tell them, Mom, you didn't do good. And you can
But they
fall
will
mad.
they will
They
still
will
not
be,
say sorry.
but
Let's
then
be realistic.
give them a benefit of doubt. Some will not. And it's
A
okay. So,
benefit of the doubt, I think it will depend on the weight, the magnitude of what they've wronged you,
so
how they've
what?
wronged you. Because we're not going to act like all parents are good. We have
Yes.
bad parents.
Yes.
We also have bad kids.
Yes.
But we have bad parents who are going to also be egoistic,
Mm-hmm.
be authoritative,
Yes.
and then who will feel like you ought to forgive them. And we have to understand that yes, children have emotions,
Mm-hmm.
and those emotions are valid. So I feel like it would be like asking them to compromise.
So what are you going to do if they don't say sorry to you? Because I guarantee you, if you go there with expectations and it's not meant, you're going to be more angry. So what happens when they never say the word sorry?
That's
Because
a that's a good question.
and I
That's a
feel
good
like
question,
even if you're
and
talking to your parents, please stop expecting to hear the word
that's what I
sorry.
was going to. I was going to say maybe you may not expect the word sorry, and learn maybe to move on and forgive for your own self, not to hear them say sorry to you. But also, do not compromise your emotions. Do not take the sorry of cooking you chicken or buying you milkshake as an apology. Just take it as them being kind, because that is not sorry. That is
For
like
me, I would want to really differ with
manipulation.
what you're saying, because most of the time, if we move. That's what I'm saying. If you want to have these conversations, don't have it with a lot of expectations, because trust me, most of the time with our African parents, they will never meet them, you know. And the way you want to be apologized to, they may never understand. Why do you want me to talk?
Why did I do wrong? First of all, they will not even
You know,
understand where
some
they did
actually,
wrong.
I want to believe that some parents know sometimes they've done something wrong. It's just that they don't know how. They will say sorry in the best way they know how to, and I will say learn to take that
In the
sorry.
best way they know
And
how
you
to.
can also teach your parents how to understand you and meet you in terms of apology. If it happens, well and good. If it doesn't, babes, learn to pick the way they say sorry, but also learn now to bring in the boundaries little by little. But if you unakuja na fujo sana and you're like, no, do this,
Let's fight.
like this, let's do, you're gonna suffer.
But then also I feel like there is an contradiction from what they teach us and what how they behave. Because as you said, they will expect to do services or buy you gifts as a form of apology. But once you do something wrong, they will expect you to say the word sorry to your friends, to your neighbors, to your siblings. So it's like, yes, they are teaching you to do these things, but then they're contradicting them. So it's not that they do not know how to say sorry because they teach us to say sorry. Let's get that thing clear. It's not that our parents, African parents, don't know how to say sorry. It's just that you're the wrong person they cannot say sorry to. Because when they're with their bosses, they'll say sorry. They'll write apology letters. When they're with the any justice lawyers involved, any justice issue involved, illegal issues involved, they will apologize. But when it comes to their children, it seems to go back to culture. So I think it's an issue that has to be tackled maybe as we're dealing with talking about family dynamics and changing culture and parenting styles. Maybe with the time it will change. But yeah, as you've said, I like how you said it. It's understanding that there are some expectations that we are not supposed to put on our parents, not just our parents, I think everyone
Everyone,
generally
like in life,
in life.
I am going to contradict myself because
It's
I'm going to
okay.
say in life you should have no expectations. But I also
Sure.
say living without expectations is
Expectations.
not living.
Exactly.
But now don't place a lot of expectations on people. Because the problem comes in is when you're disappointed and you feel hurt because you're like, if I was in your shoes, I would not have done that. And that is what we do to our parents. But what is going to change? We're going to heal a generation by deciding to be different parents. Let's leave our parents alone, because sometimes mti imezeka wezi kunja. There's a saying in Swahili, I don't know why I've forgotten it. Mti ukunje ungali mbichi. So us, since we are not yet there, we can start changing now, so that we can start seeing those healthy families. Because now, if our parents are in their 60s and 70s, honestly, we are not expecting them to be very different. They have lived their lives, and let's learn to extend grace. Because I will still say it again, they have done the best they can with what they had and with what they knew then. Because those are the same parents. If you're a firstborn, you're seeing a very huge difference between how they maybe parented you and how they're parenting maybe the thirdborn, lastborn, like that.
True.
Because with time they have learned.
True.
Okay. And also there are parents who are willing to listen and some who are not willing to listen. They're evil parents. They are really evil parents, and they're really good parents. So just knowing the type of parent you have allows you to find peace, and just know that if this is what they have shown you, choose who you want to become when you're able to be a parent. And let's see that difference, because you can be here shining them and saying they're bad people, yet you're going to be worse. You know, I usually say when you're obsessed with somebody, you're either going to become worse, or
The opposite.
the opposite, or actually them. So ask yourself, why is it that I'm really bothered and I want them to do this? Do I actually do that? Am I actually what I would have wanted them to be? And then purpose to be what you what you thought you really needed.
And also, it's not like we are blaming our parents or
Yeah.
like saying they've done something wrong, because what they are doing is what they inherited.
Yeah.
It's what they were taught from generations before, from our ancestors till today. And as you're saying, it's their first time being parents. So these conversations are not about blaming anyone or people being victims. It's not about anyone watching to feel like they're victims or anyone watching to feel like they're villain. It's us to understand what are family dynamics. How can we build healthy patterns? How can we have functional family dynamics, non dysfunctional emotional dynamics in our families? And that has to go a long way. It has to involve everyone in the families, have to involve children, grandparents, parents, aunties, neighbors, everyone who you consider family. So it's not about blaming and it's not about being a victim, victimizing yourself. It's about understanding how can I fix these issues that I'm having, the patterns that I've seen from my grandparents, and so that we can build a healthy family.
Because I think one thing that parents will always wonder, they'll be like, but I provide everything. I pay your school fees, you have a roof over your head,
Mm,
I provide meals and everything. You know, you don't have to struggle for anything. To them, that's being a perfect parent. And they forget that there's the emotional part.
Now that makes me want to
And
ask you
that's such
something.
a normalized thing.
Before you
Like,
go further,
I
do you
will,
think
my train
parents
of thought, allow me to finish. My train of thought will be, you'll disrupt my train of thought. So now it has been normalized. As long as I'm paying, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. See, I'm being there, see, I'm a parent, you know. And you also have to understand that it comes from how they came. They used to know that a parent is just meant to provide. So let's learn to take it slowly because that's what they knew what a parent is supposed to be like. So this emotional part, then they are wondering, what do you mean by emotions? Because then they
mm,
didn't have that. It's very hard for you for you to give what you've never had before. So as much as we want them to emotionally be present, we ought to also look at how they were brought up. Were their parents emotionally there? If they weren't, it's going to be a little bit hard. So I'm going to give you an assignment. Go do a genogram of your family, of starting from your grandparents. If you know your great grandparents, the better, and look at the patterns that are there in regards to are you guys open? Are you guys close? Is the relationships, are they straining? You know, look at the behavior there, and it's going to tell you a lot about your family. And
mm.
then you're going to get a lot of answers. You know, sometimes answers are just in front of us. It's because we're not keen enough to look at them. Now
Yeah,
you can ask.
I was going to ask. Yeah, if I remember, I was going to ask. Do you think you're talking about emotions, parental emotions? Do you think our parents can love deeply but still be emotionally immature and petty?
Well,
Considering like what you were saying, that's why I wanted to ask it in the
I
middle
will phrase
because
it. Parents can love and be emotionally absent. I wouldn't use immature. I'll just say emotionally absent because they don't know how to be emotionally present. It's not their
but
fault.
love is an emotion. How are you loving deeply
they
but then
they
you are
they show
emotionally
in their
absent?
in the ways they know how to, because a parent may be showing you they love you by providing everything you need, but not
True,
sitting there and telling
true.
you, oh, I love you, oh my god, no. I'll be like, ugh.
You
That's why you
cringe.
see they call their parents and they're like, Ati dad, where are you? I love you. The father is like, are you okay? Are you okay? Because like that's not the norm. Like,
Like, what are you doing?
what is happening?
Brother,
Like,
ew.
but that's why I say now these things show up in our lives. That's
Hmm.
why you find that us as adults now, how it shows up in even how we look for love, nigga. Like
Even
even
friendships.
friendships, because like for me, I can be friends with people but I never say the word I love you, but I'm always ready to be of help to them, and I always do things for them because maybe that's how I understand love and I show love. And to somebody else, maybe I always tell my friends, oh my god, I love you, I miss you, and you know, I'm so happy that you're in my life, I really am so grateful. Then they're like, is you good? Like, Ako, rather, like, are you going through a lot? Because, you know, maybe I come from a place where they are we express ourselves. And you'll find that also these things, they shape our attachment styles. Because maybe when you're a kid,
Mm-hmm.
you had to be aware of,
Can speak more into that.
ooh, today, hit the tone. Like, you see, there are kids who now as adults, they know how to dissect every tone, every facial expression, because that's how they grew up. They're like, if they sound like this, it means they're angry at
Mm.
and now it shows up with the type. Now you become a people pleaser. All these things you have now anxious attachment styles, or you're an avoidant. There are all these things. And remember, it's not your fault, but it is your responsibility to get yourself from all these things to be the type of person you want to be. Maybe if
Mm.
you're anxious attachment or avoidant, for you to get to secure attachment style.
Okay, you're done explaining that.
Yeah.
No, that's okay. We can.
So I feel like this is a topic that doesn't end. It's so broad. If we can narrow it down, we can actually speak on things bit by bit. But you guys,
Mm.
you can get to see that family dynamic is so huge. There are very many parts of this, and we will always have so many things in regards to this. However, the family you came from does not necessarily need to be the family you create. Just because you came from a dysfunctional home does not mean one has to come from you. It's your choice to make and to decide the type of family you want to have.
Mm. Yeah, that's a very good point that you ended on. And as we're nearing our closing, I would love to hear what you would think for someone realizing that they are realizing these family dysfunctions in their family and they're unhealthy. How do they build boundaries? How do they create boundaries without feeling guilt to help them come to that stage that you talked about in the first questions of being able to communicate and all these things? How can they reach that?
That's a very good question. There's so much you can say to that. But if you're that person, I will really encourage you to go to therapy, because I'll be lying if I said I can give you all the answers here.
Mm.
Those are things you sit down and somebody is able to guide you. I'll first ask you, you've made a bold step. Why do you want to do it? Because it's good. The why is usually very, very important. And the
Mm.
thing is, I will really recommend you to sit down, because my mind has so many things to say. But like knowing the why and knowing the main goal of doing it, what are you expecting from even setting these boundaries and all that, and how is it going to affect already the type of relationships you have with these people, and how do you want it to be moving forward? By
Mm.
answering these questions, it's easy for you to find a path of for you to find a way of starting this journey. But
Mm.
most importantly, sit down with someone who is able to guide you and lead you through it without rushing.
Mm. Wow, that has been nice. That's so nice. Thank you so much. What's one message that you would like our listeners to remember?
In regards to family,
Yeah, and
I
emotional and
will
having
just
emotional
I'll
healthy.
just repeat what I said. Just because you come from a dysfunctional home, it doesn't mean a dysfunctional home should come from you.
Amen. Just because you come from a dysfunctional home doesn't mean a dysfunctional home should come from you. I can't thank you enough, Anita. Thank you for being here. Thank you for this very interesting
Okay,
conversation.
offering.
Offering.
Okay.
Me empesa. Uh, I can't wait for us to have another episode about this series because I feel like you have a lot to share and you are bringing a lot to the table. And I can't wait for what the future holds when it comes to family dynamics. I know it's something that you're so passionate about that makes the two of us. Thank you all to have listened through this far. That means you have loved the conversation, and that means you can share it with a loved one that you think would benefit from this. I can't thank you enough. If you haven't joined the family, please do by subscribing down there and join the Quiet Community Circle or follow us on Apple Podcast, Instagram, TikTok, and Spotify. I am Kenzur Sandra, your host. Stay tuned. Ciao. Bye.